maybe.
Or not.
Hello and welcome back to the Lawful Remedies, show number 14. We may have missed one on this channel because it's on the Roadshow channel, the last one, with the Clever Clogs here on the Zoom. But with me in the studio is the lovely Karen Dodd. Hello, Karen. How are you?
I'm hot.
Yeah, it is hot today, isn't it? Very hot.
It is hot.
But that's okay.
It's good. I'm not complaining. I'm loving it. No, it's great. We're just talking
Oh,
about
hang on.
flying ants.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, no, I can't hear you. I don't know. Can you just talk a bit more?
Yes, I can talk too much sometimes. Can you hear me?
Where's her mic over there?
Oh, yeah, that's
mic.
right.
Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, we can't hear her because
It's probably a good thing.
it's a bit rushed.
Actually, we can hear. Well, I can hear her.
Oh,
that's
all
good.
right. There
Oh,
we go. We have
sorry.
our panel, of course. And the lovely Julia is here in the
Helping.
background, who is moderating and taking your questions as well as us.
And giving us the mic.
And reminding us that the studio is not set up. We had a few technical issues at the beginning. But never mind. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. It's lovely to be back on this channel. Karen, would you like to introduce our wonderful panel?
Yes. Thank you. So I think we're a little bit down on the panel tonight for various reasons, but we do have two brilliant expert Clever Clogs. So we have allegedly Dave, who was supposed to join us last week, but he had technical issues.
Here he comes.
There he is. He's waving nicely. Hello, Dave.
Hi there. It's good to be back. Apologies for last week. I had some internet problems.
As we do sometimes, don't we, Richard?
We do. Sometimes we have more than internet problems, technical
Yes,
problems and YouTube problems.
yes,
and all
naughty
of
boy
that.
problems.
Yeah, a lot of naughty boy problems at the moment. Okay.
And we also have with us Peter Wilson, who hasn't been with us for a while. So welcome, Peter. It's lovely to have you back. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much. It's great to be back. Had a bit of
Superb.
a busy time, but yeah, I'm always happy to help.
And you haven't got any flying ants up there yet?
Not yet, no.
They're on their way.
They haven't flown up this far yet, but there's time. There's time yet. If they get a bit of a headwind, they can fly back up.
Indeedy.
Ah, brilliant stuff. Do we have a hang on, wrong button. Do we have it's like don't do this if you do it every day, you remember where all the buttons are and the cameras and stuff. It's all a bit mad. Do we have a theme for today's show or anything like that?
We could have a theme.
We were talking about, if I remember rightly, the emergency response last time.
And that took about an hour of the show. Actually, we had no questions, but there was a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
and really important because what's going on with people sort of battering at other people's doors uninvited. So I think that was really good. But we have a sort of theme. We have, in fact, there's two things. There's this, which a couple of people have asked me, these BGCs, these bank gyro credits.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now you did something with yours last week.
Yes.
Where you told us about it. And
yes.
People have asked me to ask you to actually demonstrate what you did, if that's okay. Would you be able to?
Okay.
Sorry, putting you on the pot. So maybe at some stage, if we have a pause, we can...
I can tell you what I did.
Yeah.
I mean, it's on Mike Holt's webpage, which was linked to. Now, I did have a few people saying they couldn't access the webpage because it's in Australia.
Right.
Now, I use a VPN. So sometimes I can't access certain things. Like I know people in France can't access Rumble.
Yeah.
But if you use a VPN, you bounce it
bypass
from a different...
that. Yeah.
So that's quite a good idea.
So what did you actually do? Are you able to do it? Because here we've just got a straightforward bank gyro credit, which is a credit. So one pen. There's two of those. These are mine.
Right.
I think they're for utilities.
So... so there it is with the thing. Now, I'm no expert, and I'm a bit nervous now because I've got two experts on the panel.
They're watching you.
Watching me. Look at that stern face going, is he going to cock it up there? The old folks. And all I did is I just followed what Mike Holt did.
Yeah.
And so what you do in a blue pen...
Oh, gosh. I failed. Okay.
Yeah, well, I won't actually write on here, but what he did is... And of course, hang on, let me just put it on this camera. Maybe that's a bit clearer.
Yeah.
So you write on this bit of paper, and I can't remember exactly the right words, but approximately, I accept this bill stroke offer, because it's a bill, it's not an invoice. So I accept this bit, and you're writing it just over the whole thing. I accept this bill stroke offer as money in British pounds. I put British pounds sterling because he had it in Australian dollars, in British pounds sterling, and then you do an arrow to the amount.
Right.
So, I accept this bill offer as in sterling. Put an arrow to the amount. Now take it back, you write. Now take it back and settle the account. Then you sign as you sign your name as the honorary title beneficiary holder, something like that. You put in brackets not trustee, and then you put, I can't remember if it's all rights, I think you put all rights reserved or something.
Yeah.
And the text is on that website that I linked to.
Yeah, cool, okay. And then you put that in the post back to them.
Then I take a photograph of it.
Yeah.
So that you've got proof that you've done that. And then you post this thing back to them. Now, I put a covering letter of the same, so I just put a covering letter saying, please find enclosed your bill accepted as offer, as money, pound sterling for, and then I put that amount, whatever it is. And I just do the same words. But now take it back to settle the account.
Right.
And you go, yours honourably, Richard Vobes, beneficial title holder, blah blah blah, not trusted. I just copy it on a covering letter, and then I put the two together, and I just sent them off.
And you registered when you sent it off?
Yeah, and just
tracked it.
It goes to a PO box, but that doesn't matter. You just register it.
And what was the outcome?
Well, on the first time I did it, I heard nothing. 3 months went past.
Yeah.
Then I got a new bill, and it just said you've paid this.
Yeah.
And here's your new bill, which was only 50 quid. The first one was like £300.
Yeah.
The second one was like 50 quid. So I just did the same again. And I've not heard anything.
Fabulous.
And it's been about a week now, and I've not heard anything.
Brilliant. Well done, you.
I did it with the council tax and HMRC.
And have you heard back from them yet?
I have heard back from the council, who just kept denying that I hadn't paid. So I then put them on a 3 notice thing.
Yeah.
Saying, I have actually paid. I paid with... No. I didn't say I paid. I said I have settled the account with a financial instrument.
That's this again.
Which was, well, it was the original council tax thing with a structured payment,
Yeah.
but it still had the barcode on.
Yeah.
And I did exactly the same on that. And then I just said, because ultimately I've tried to pay. I haven't sort of said, no, I'm not paying, as much as I resent paying and all of that. I just thought I'd try this.
Been honourable.
Yeah, try to be honourable. So, because I figured they're going to take the money anyway from the Sestica.
Your trust.
So I did that, and then they said, no, you haven't. So I just wrote to them and said, actually, there's been an error. I'd like to correct the error. I have actually settled the account. I sent you this on the whatever day it was. And I said, if you'd like to dispute that, you're very welcome to send me back the financial instrument. But if you don't, and I can't be responsible if you've lost it, I said, and then I said, you've got so many days to do that. Then I heard nothing. And then the next thing they said is they were going to, it was a final demand for the money, or we're going to prosecute. So I answered that one and said, pretty much the same thing, except that I said, yet again, there's been an error. You tacitly ignored my letters. I have paid you, and I've given you the opportunity to return the financial instrument. I'm more than happy to settle the account. If that's not satisfactory, I'll send you a promissory note, is what I said. And I said, if you genuinely have lost this, I am more than willing to do another one.
Yeah. And another one.
And another one. It only takes a few minutes. So I sent that, and I said, you've got 7 days to reply. If I do not hear from you, we'll take it that is read. Then I heard nothing, and so then I sent them the notice of default and said, we've obviously agreed. I have settled the account. Thank you very much. I also told them that they were registered on Dun & Bradstreet, and I found a number, and I said, you are a corporate company. In the first one, I said, if you disagree, send me an invoice. Send me a VAT invoice. And then if there is an invoice, clearly there'd be a contract number.
Right.
And they're
gotten by the ghoulies there.
Well, I've not heard. So that's not to say I won't hear.
No.
And that's not to say they won't send, a the next
No.
thing would be we're taking you to court. You know, you've got a date. But at least if I had to go to court, not that I intend to stand in court at all, but I would rebut that next and say, I have tried to settle the account. I have not tried, and they have not negotiated with me to say that's not acceptable. They just stayed silent. So
good for you, because a lot of people do say, you know, do we or you actually follow all this stuff that you know we talk about, and you obviously do. So you know.
Well, I didn't for the first year because I was just learning.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But when it came, and I thought, obviously, if you pay the one, you've kind of tacitly agreed to it. But this time I haven't agreed to any of it.
Yeah.
And I just went, right, I'll use that only because Mike Holt said it in the interview. He said, you can do this. And I thought, well, sorry.
Give it a go.
I'll do it, but I won't tell anyone until I know that something has worked.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want other people to do it and
then tell you off.
And then say, oh, you know,
that
you're making
bloke.
All I can say is what has happened to date.
Yeah.
But the water company accepted it as money.
Fabulous. So I hope those people that contacted me are happy with that. Yes, sorry, Pat.
Yeah, Dave.
Yeah, I was just going to say, no. I'm just going to say that there are many ways to skin a cat, and at the end of the day, you know, what we're talking about is absolute truth. There is no money. There is no money in the system. You cannot pay for anything because all we're doing is passing around promissory notes that bear empty promises. Yeah. So.
Yes.
So when you fill in that bank giro credit thing, right? Well, as I said, there are many ways to skin a cat. Everyone's saying, "Oh, you got to put this writing over it and do it in blue ink and do this and do that." But what you just did, and what Mike Holt is saying, is essentially the pragmatic approach. Is saying, "I know that this is a method of payment. Okay, I know the game. Take this back, pay the bill, or
settle the
affect
account.
Payment, settle the account, and that's it. It's a very straightforward and pragmatic approach. And at the end of the day, what you're doing is right.
Thank God for that. Well, the last thing I want to do is to promote something that doesn't
that
is going to get people into trouble.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. What we're fighting, and this goes across the board, is the guilty mind, your guilty mind. Yeah.
Yes.
Because, you know, if you don't believe that this is you've just created money with your signature there, then they will roll over you because they know the psychological techniques to prick at that guilty mind of yours so that you'll sort of roll over. Yeah.
Well, now the first one worked, and they've accepted it. I don't feel guilty at all.
No.
So I don't feel guilty about doing it, and I know because Dave said this, and other people have said it about the mortgage, and that your signature generates the money. So why is that any different?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. But there's a lot of people who say we'll send out a promissory note for, let's say, for £1,000. Right? And then the company will come back and say, oh, no, we don't accept that. And they kind of give in and try something else.
Yes. Well,
if they'd handed over £1,000 in banknotes and the company said, well, we don't accept that, and they don't give you but the £1,000 back, wouldn't you fight for that? Wouldn't you say, well, you've got my money, but they won't fight for the promissory note because they don't believe it's actual money.
Yes, absolutely. Which is why I kept saying to them, I have settled the account and with this financial instrument, and I quoted the Bill of Rights, and I said, but if you disagree, send me back that thing because I knew it was worth the money. Somebody somewhere must have gone, oh, what the hell is this? And gone to their supervisor who's gone, oh, okay, this rings a vague bit. And somewhere someone's gone, oh, okay, we can deal with it.
Yeah.
The thing is that water companies and other utilities now may have a flurry of these.
Well, that's the intention. Thanks to you. Thanks to what we're doing. Isn't that's the whole plan, though, isn't it?
Well, my thought was just simply, I know people are saying, I don't want to pay it for different reasons.
Yeah.
And I'm saying I'm not paying it. But it's really to help those people who have very little income and are feeling the tight squeeze to know actually they can sign off these accounts because the money's there.
Well, that's the thing. So it is honourable because it's already been paid from your trust. People don't know that they've got a trust.
And you've also got to remember that they're not letting it through. It's not that somebody went, oh yeah, we'll accept that. No, they're doing that all the time. You know, they're settling the account with that bank gyro credit, and they're taking your check that you send with it, or whatever your payment you send with it, as an administration fee.
So they're doing it, taking the money twice.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not just people
they're
that
not
don't
letting
have
it
money.
through. So they're not letting it through. They're actually doing it every time they get one. So
right. Yeah, no, absolutely. That is very much the point.
But this isn't the people that are on the, I don't want to say front line. This isn't just the general clerks, is it, that's doing it? They don't know. They're just following orders. So it's people further up the pyramid.
Well, I'm sure people like Boris Johnson and that lot, they just know all this anyway. The Eton mob.
Oh yeah, those
will
that
be
have gone
trained
to,
into this, and they'll go, when bills come,
the dodgies.
They probably don't have to say now take it back and settle the account. They just probably put a squiggle on and it's just accepted. It's just we don't know that.
No, we do now.
Yeah, this is where the truth comes out.
Yeah, indeedy. Did Peter want to say anything about it?
Well, we do a similar thing. It's all the same type of thing. You're just balancing the books.
Right.
So if we look at, I did a long course with these guys over in the United States, and it was all about equity. But it's the same thing as settling the accounts. They just called it equity because on the equitable side, they can see that there's no money. Everything is just like, you have already said, just a promise to pay. So we actually just use like we create a notice, which is, there's no templates to it. You have to create from what they write to you. And then just say, settle the account, close it all off, close all public funds and send it back. I mean, the guy that I actually trained with, he's settled a lot of criminal charges as well. And the last actual one that was settled for him it wasn't his bill, if you want to call it that. It was, he did it for a client. It was $128,000 and an IRS tax bill.
Wow.
And he settled it straight away.
Yeah, gosh.
Wow.
I mean, this is what is so amazing about this, and the fact that nobody's bothered to tell us.
Exactly. That's why this is our simpletons. That's why this is so important to share this information, because it is going on and it's honest.
Yeah.
Because it's being paid, so we're not tricking anybody, are we? We're just playing them at the same game. So
one guy you should try and get to speak to, Richard, is a guy called Paul Webster. He used to do a little channel before. He called it something like the Webby Report or something like that.
The Webster Report.
Yeah, he's a Spider-Man fan, I think. But he's done a lot of great work. I mean, this is years ago, going back years and he used the gyro credit, exactly what you just mentioned. And he did it with British Gas, who he was dealing with at the time. And in the end, it ended up going to court. I mean, they're terrified of him, Yeah. When he actually that's not the right way. He assisted somebody, right, in the court that British Gas were trying to actually take to court for the bill, their so-called bill. And he turned up to court and they seen him and they ripped the case up and left, sent the guy away because they didn't want to deal with Paul Webster. So you should get him on the show and talk to him.
Yeah, that would be good.
I've made a note.
Thank you very much. So there we go. Well,
that's a good start, isn't it?
It's a good
I'm
start.
Sorry to put you on the spot there.
No, not at all. And I'll have to. I mean, what I'll try and do is because I know some people can't access the website for some reason. And somebody's calling him Michael Volt, but it's Mike Holt
with a H.
With an H.
With an H, not a H.
Not a H.
An H. An H.
In common and
All
garden
right,
English.
like nice H. Nothing like a nice H.
So I'll copy the text and I'll put it on my webpage.
Brilliant.
So that people can look at it. Yeah. Please have Paul Webster on, says Zed.
Okay.
I've got a question here that Julia has just handed over from the chat room. Shall we do one of those?
Let's do one, yes.
So Mark Shepherd says, ask the bank to send me a gyro credit for a debt I owe. They sent me one without a barcode or the amount. Would this make a difference? Shall I fill in the amount and do your bit on it?
Do your bit. That's so it didn't have one of these. Are they not all supposed to have one of these then? That's a question, I guess, isn't it?
I was told that the barcode links to your account or
Your trust account.
Your trust account, but I don't know whether that bit's true.
No.
Well, I don't think it matters that it hasn't got a barcode on it, because they sent it to him as settlement. So
Right.
So they're going to have to accept it because they sent it. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's as
that's
simple
true.
as that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
There we go, Mark. Nice and easy one. Somebody said to me they wanted to do it with their electric company, and they emailed me and they said, but the problem was the electric company said, oh, we don't send out paper bills. So I emailed them back and said, well, ask them for a digital bill, print it out, and do the same with that. Or just say, well, in that case, I can't pay you. And if you want me to pay you, I'm more than happy to settle the account, but you'll need to send me something. I mean, I'm sure they'll send something eventually.
Well, if they want the money,
If
they will, won't
want
they?
the money, won't they?
Yeah.
Or
and it's
you tell them you don't have internet. Can I?
Yeah.
I need a paper bill, and they have to.
There you go.
Do you know it's the same with this parking thing? They all expect you to pay your parking
on an app on your
on
phone.
an app, yeah. And I say, I haven't got an app. So I have a little thing in my car that says machine broken again, or because there's nowhere to put the money, and I've never got caught, never been told off about it.
Oh right.
Yeah, never, because I don't have an app. Unless they give me an app to do it with, I can't do it. Why should I use my phone to use their products?
Yeah.
So it's worked.
These days, who wants to have a mobile phone anyway with all the EMFs?
Absolutely.
Carol Rose says, if your bill is in your married name, not your maiden name, how do I sign?
Oh.
There's a moment.
So say that again.
Yeah, sure. It says, if your bill is in your married name, not your maiden name, which presumably, a birth certificate is different from her marriage certificate, but the marriage name surely must still be in their world, all caps legal, and still representing you, even though you've been married. So,
yeah,
I mean, I would sign in the name that they send the bill to.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, it's if as soon as you get married, it basically updates the record. So you sign
You're
in
still a straw
whatever's
person.
the current. It's still the straw person.
Yeah,
so
the straw person.
So yeah, absolutely. So just if it's all in all caps in whatever name, just sign as that.
Yeah.
Because you're not that anyway.
No, exactly. You're
the
representing
you're
that.
You're the sort of executive of that trust,
of the
main beneficiary. Because you're signing as the beneficiary.
It's a Scotty dog in the game of Monopoly. Yeah, you sign whatever the piece you're using. Yeah.
Yeah.
Scotty dog.
Exactly.
I think I used to like being the shoe for some reason.
Oh, the
racing car.
Right, of course, of course.
Yeah, I like the little train.
Did you?
And
Oh,
the bowler
of course.
hat. And the bowler
you're
hat.
definitely the bowler hat.
Or was it a top hat? I think it was a top hat.
Oh, I can't remember.
And the question here is, did he have a monocle or didn't he?
Isn't that Cluedo?
Is that the Mandela effect?
Mandela effect, yeah.
The Mandela effect.
Anyway, that's for another day.
So, a question, or shall I read? Because you said it's going to be a theme. So we started off with the BGCs, and then we were having a little pre-chat in all our sort of trying to get organised about courts, weren't we? So Norrie, who's invited us to Scotland, has asked us. He said, "I was wondering if I could get some advice on how to go about setting up a people's court here in Scotland. He's holding a Police Scotland and Perth and Kinross Council employees accountable for, what's this word again?
Malfeasance.
Misfeasance in public office."
She's a nice girl,
Misfeasance.
Oh, she's
but she's
lovely.
got a title. She sounds naughty, actually. Anyway, public office. But I'm a bit out of my depth when it comes to setting one up. I have built up a very strong case against them now, and it's time to take action. Fight, fight, fight. With blood on his ear.
Who would like to take that?
Go on, Dave. You were talking about it before. Go on.
Yeah. So down in Eastbourne, we were planning to set up a dispute resolution service, which was really a thinly veiled common law court, and essentially it was going to be very simple. That you had a a convener or a judge, somebody whose only sort of task was to, keep the proceedings moving along nicely. Stop people interrupting each other and that sort of thing. You have the two parties, who have got the controversy between them, and you have a jury of 12 members of your community. Yeah. And essentially, the first party puts their case, the other party puts theirs, and then there's a questioning session, and that's it. And the jury go away and make their decision. Now the plan was to use the kind of Judge Judy model. So just like Judge Judy on TV,
Oh, yeah.
The parties would literally agree that the court or the service would have authority to adjudicate on their decision, and they would abide by the decision of the jury. Now, the plan was that we do a few sort of cases, put them on the internet, and have them sort of televised, as it were, on social media, like Judge Judy or even the OJ trial, for instance. But just have it so that people see this thing and see it in action, and then open it up to anybody who's got a dispute. Now they've got a choice whether to go to the government court where they know they're not going to get any justice, or they can go to this common law or people's dispute resolution service, and have a jury actually render proper justice. That's the way we were going to go. And I organized it, organized the on paper, but never really got very far getting people together to do it.
People together as being the jury?
Well, people to help organize it and let's go. I had somebody in mind for a convener who was somebody who's respected sort of universally around this area.
Yeah.
And but
when was this day? This was a few years ago.
This was a few years ago. Yes.
Because I think maybe people weren't ready then, but I think people are. There's so many people waking up to the corruption that's going on. So it probably would be a lot easier, I think, nowadays, because there's so many organisations, aren't there? The peacekeepers and the rapid responders and all these other groups. So I think it would be easier. But like you say, we've got to get it out there. But my question would also be, sorry, I know you wanted to say something. I will shut up in a minute. But how do we get those that we want to bring to justice? How are we going to get them to turn up to the court? Because they just think we're having a laugh, aren't you?
Right. Well, we had the original idea when we decided on trying to make it sort of a lot larger scale was actually put Matt Hancock on trial, and actually send a summons and say to him that you can send representation, and if not, we would sort of provide representation for him, and that would no sort of messing around. We'd have somebody who really wants to defend him, and and actually have a proper trial. Which could go either way. So we weren't going to try and falsify anything or make it a show trial or something, but really
it's done honourably.
Yes. And the idea was, the secondary idea was that if a prosecutor can lay out the facts and the facts and the process that went on during COVID, it would also have the secondary effect of waking people up to what actually happened.
Yes, that's very true.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point. But what would also happen? Let's say then we got somebody representing Mr. Hancock and we found him guilty of misdemeanors. So then what do we do with him? Put him in a tree or something?
Right. So,
Well, that's what they used to do years ago. You'd have a tree outside the towns, wouldn't you? Like in Australia, a big tree, and that would be the cell. As in, the police cell. They'd shove him in there, the baddies.
Actually got
well,
a bit of a point on here. That was it last year or the year before? Everything's just flying. That I was like being a Mackenzie friend for somebody in one of these courts, and as what would you call it? Well, it was for an appeal case anyway. So when you're the appellant, you're not the actual defendant anymore, are you? So it was him. And one of the requests we put in was for a witness, and the witness was Matt Hancock. And they point blank refused to allow him to attend the court. So, which was a shame. Yeah, it was a big. Well, you said it, you said it. So like a big COVID thing, that what it was, and it was about like keeping the gyms open. So I'm a gym owner, and I was with a fellow gym owner, and that's what it was all about, keeping the gym open during that time. And we had a long running argument with, well, it wasn't me, it was like Eddie Elwood is his name, who was doing this actual case. A great activist, but yeah, he actually requested for Matt Hancock to be there as a witness from what Matt Hancock was saying live to everybody at the time of like him not breaking a law. Right, but they weren't playing anyway. They wouldn't let him anywhere near the court for it. But another point as well, talking about how to create a court, I'm actually just again helping somebody. I'm proofreading a book of a friend of mine who went to court recently, and he actually turned it into his court by standing correctly using law as a man, and refusing to be under their jurisdiction, and just asking them every single time, asking them questions. Now, I'm not going to tell you anything about the book because he's going to launch it and sell it and everything, and it's about family court. So he actually turned it into a court of law. Now, obviously, he's in court. They were actually trying to take his daughter from him, by the way, using legislation. And he turned it around to be law instead of legislation. Obviously got a lot of abuse and of screaming and shouting really by the judge, but eventually they couldn't argue with his lawful points. And what he was also stating was he was a man. He didn't have a name that could refer to him as, let's just say, Peter, for instance, right? And that was it. He wouldn't accept anything else. And he wouldn't obviously stand up for the judge. He wouldn't, whatever. And when questioned, he answered everything with a question. So he was being as king, asking the questions. And he actually did convert it. Now, his point, when he was saying, he says, this is a court of law. Yes. Well, in a court of law, then you are interfering with my property. Right? I've stated this many times. And, you get a lot of stick for it, but this is the law. And I'm not talking about legislation. You can do whatever you want with legislation, shove it where the sun don't shine. In law, then he's interfering with his property, which was his daughter. Now, the judge is like, don't refer to that as, as your property. What do you mean your property? Well, you've just talked about being the author. If you are the author, right, you are the creator, and you maintain, then you own, it's your property. And the judge couldn't argue with it. And eventually he actually said, yeah, you're absolutely right. We're in law. You're doing it correctly. And he won his case, and he converted it from legislation to law, and he won his case. And obviously the daughter is exactly where she should be.
Gosh.
I love those stories.
And I mean, what's so fascinating is the judge obviously knows all this. It's a game to them. And then they realize, okay, we've obviously lost this.
Yeah.
And then admits that you're actually, that's fine, it's all okay, you're in law, I have to be honourable. There's that crossing point.
Yeah, they don't lose sleep over it, do they?
Well, and that is exactly the case, and exactly true. They know what's going on, but they're playing a game. And if they can play their legislation game and they have jurisdiction, right? Once they've got jurisdiction, they're only doing their job. They're not lying to you. They're not hiding anything from you. If you don't do the research and find out, then whose fault is it?
Yeah. No, exactly. But the deception is that everybody assumes that the court is impartial from the beginning, and they don't realise the games. But once you realise that,
I think so, and I think
it's tricky, isn't it?
Well, when you say jurisdiction, can you explain more? Because I know this came up last week about if you're in my jurisdiction or somebody else's jurisdiction. Can you just explain a little bit more what it actually means to be in somebody's jurisdiction?
Well, you're only talking about authority. It's just a different word. So if they have jurisdiction, they've gained authority over you. Now, the judge themselves, they want you. And again, these live stories will talk about another member of our group. And he went to court, did exactly the same, and he was doing well. They put it through to appeal, went to the higher court. So they couldn't get jurisdiction over him. They couldn't turn him into the straw man. They couldn't turn him into the actual full capital name, because he was always, when they say, what's your name? I haven't got a name. You can refer to me as Peter, but I haven't got a name. There's no name. And that's the trick. And you've got to always be very wary, because they can gain jurisdiction, authority over you, as in now you have to do what we say because you've agreed, you've made a contract. That's all it is. You've contracted. So the guy I'm talking about, I'm not going to say names, but like, he got right the way through there. And, the same thing, he probably, without the experience, right, wasn't getting it all correct, but he was just trying, he was trying to learn as he was going on. And what it was, they failed, and they actually gained jurisdiction because he turned round and he said, Mr. Such and Such, can you just tell me then why you wouldn't stand up for the judge? And he answered.
They got him.
And so,
that's jurisdiction. Mr. Such and Such, you've just admitted that you are a straw man.
Checkmate.
And that's what it is to them, isn't it? I think a lot of them, they must think, oh, we've won. It's a game. It's a game. For us, it's our lives. But for them, it's like, oh, we got a point. Yeah. We won this one.
As soon as he did it, they didn't do any more discussion. They just went, okay, guilty, boom, and that was it, finished. He knew what he'd done. He says he just went, oh, man. And he reckons that the prosecutor kind of half laughed, because it was like, they know. They're playing table tennis, the same as
Do you remember in The Great Escape, when I think it's Gordon Jackson and another actor, they've escaped and they're on the platform and they're supposedly speaking in German, and they get questioned by these German officers and they're all a bit nervous, but they manage to get through it, and they're just walking away and the German officer turns around and says, good luck. And they say, oh, thanks very much. And that's when, and apparently that's true. That actually happened.
Yeah, well, it's a reflex, isn't it? That's the thing. So you've got to be really on the ball.
I was going to answer your question actually earlier on.
Yeah, please do.
What was the question?
Yes, the question was what once if he was found guilty as such, what can we do? What can we do to him?
Yes. Thank you. Yes, going back. Yes, we've digressed.
Right. Well, the idea I had was what happened to Tony Blair. When Tony Blair was found guilty of something in a common law court, I can't remember what it was, but people started arresting him. So I think he was arrested 3 times by people on the street.
Wow.
So people, came up, you're under arrest, and tried to say. So Tony Blair literally disappeared because every time he set foot on the street, somebody tried to arrest him. So the idea, I thought, was to issue a public arrest warrant for Matt Hancock, so that every time he sets foot on the street, somebody would try and arrest him. It's a first step.
It's a first step, isn't it? Because Mr. Blair now, isn't he going to be the new WEF leader when the other guy goes?
But if it's public knowledge, I mean, that's what I like about that whole thing. If it's public knowledge and people accept that, the mass of people say, you have actually been to court, you may not have accepted it, but you have been tried, your case has been put forward, if you try to defend yourself, whatever it is, and you've been found guilty, and therefore we are arresting you.
Yeah.
And if their life is made merry hell and they cannot come out into the public world because of that. I think that, and as that snowballs,
Yeah.
and more people go,
Do it.
actually, this is legitimate, and it starts to
Yeah.
legitimize it.
Gets
Right,
the ball
well,
rolling.
look at Tony Blair. He's only re-emerged now that a lot of people have forgotten who he is.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
We know, though.
Yeah.
Well, we know.
We know. I think it's a great idea.
I've got a number of things to come back to.
Yeah, sorry, my computer's not working.
If I may. So let me just see if I can. Simone Nyman says, has Richard tried the gyro thing with the gas and electricity? I have yet to do that because I was doing them very slowly, one at a time, just to see. So the next one, I don't have any gas here, so other than what comes out my mouth. So I will try it with the electricity. I am the same. My electricity people are the same as the one that the other lady or gentleman said, oh, they won't give me a bill. But then I noticed that Victor Meldew out there says, I stopped my direct debit. And that, they'll soon send you something on paper.
Oh, right, for the guy that didn't get the barcode or something.
Yeah.
Or whatever, yeah.
Joanna Harrison says, what about if you have a meter for gas or electricity? How can one settle with a meter? Now, that's an interesting point.
Do they mean a prepaid meter?
Yeah, I guess that's what they mean.
Oh, yes, when you have to buy the vouchers in advance, the tokens in advance, don't you?
Well, you get these little plastic keys.
Yeah,
as well now.
yeah. I mean, they're being replaced by smart meters and stuff, aren't they? But which we don't want. But yes, if you have to pay for the utility in advance, I don't know if there is a way out of that.
You're kind of stuck because
Yeah. Change the meter.
you're at their mercy.
Yeah.
As they say, if you don't pay, you self-disconnect.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So
And then-
they're
Can you,
not
but
disconnecting.
can you upgrade if you've got a payment meter? You say,
Yeah.
well, actually, I don't want that. I'll have a monthly bill, please. And then when the bill comes in, you've just settled the account.
No, I don't think you can.
No,
But how do people get
because-
it?
You have to go to the post office and buy these. You have to buy them physical things. to
No,
put
I
them-
know, but if you upgrade,
If you're going to upgrade, you're going to upgrade to a smart meter, aren't you? They're not going to put an analog meter in. They're going to give you one of these smart meters.
and then how do you pay your bill?
Then, I see. So then maybe you upgrade to a smart meter and then do what you've just been doing. Could be.
Well,
Dave's got an idea.
I would say, well, first of all, you can't just if you're on prepaid, you can't change the payment method because usually they'll put a smart meter in to try and recover the money they say you owe them. Right, so they'll whack on a little bit on the tariff so that you end up paying them back. The way I'd say is to actually change your meters to your own meters, and then or you can go through the process first of notifying them that there is no contract between you, and since there is no contract, I'm changing the terms of our agreement. Which is what you can do if you're just in an agreement between you. So change your meters. And
how do you go about changing them, though?
Well, you can actually buy the actual meters on eBay of all places, and you can get a proper certified fitter to fit them. If you go on Telegram, there are lots of groups out there with certified fitters who will do it for you, and that's it. They no longer the energy company no longer has any sort of control over you or any sort of hold over you because they're essentially renting the meter and charging you for the digits on it.
Brokers, aren't they? So would you return their meter to them?
Personally, I wouldn't start off by returning the meter. I would keep the meters in the boxes that the new meters came in, and if they ever turn up wanting to check the meters, we'll give it to them. There you go. take them away.
I think that's,
to heart's content.
that's great. So, they come to read the meter. You say, yes, certainly.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'll bring it to you. There you are. You can read it as much as you want. If you want to take it away with you, you're very welcome. You'll have to sign something to say you've taken it, or have photographic evidence or whatever. But that would be so funny, just to be able to say, you want to read the meter? There it is.
Oh,
It's the same as last week, isn't it, actually? Come next week, it'll be the same. I'm keeping it in a box. But that does sound like a bit of fun.
There is a way then. So where there's a will, there's a way, for sure.
Absolutely.
Sorry, you've got all the questions.
Only because at the end of the day, again, this goes back to what I said earlier. We are being defrauded left, right, and centre, right?
Yes.
And we're being sort of tricked and indoctrinated into believing that we're the ones who are defrauding them if we don't pay, whereas they're the ones who are actually the criminals defrauding us, and all we're doing is trying to redress the balance.
Yes, and it is definitely worth remembering that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Victor Meldew makes this comment. I don't know how true it is. He says, from experience, the gas and electricity, can only come for 1 year of debt. Does not matter how much the bill is, can only chase for the last 12 months. Is that true? Does anyone know?
No idea.
Well, we've drawn a blank on that, but maybe that is...
I wonder how Victor knows. It'd be nice if he tells us.
So I'll just run through these
very
quickly.
Well, I'll try and...
So this
doesn't matter at the end of the day.
No, it doesn't matter at the end of the day, because we've got our ways of settling the account. Richards says, Dick, can you update us on the latest news via your YouTube and demonetizing? Is there a way to donate and support this? I have linked your website in the chat and YouTube Drumble blah. Oh, Julia's done that. Yeah, I am demonetized, and in the description of each video there are ways to support me, so you can do that if you wish. And every dice Virturan, sorry, I don't know if I'm just reading Julia's lovely handwriting.
Cash.
Pardon? Eurydice. Advice regarding holding a town council to account. Experiencing issues with a town clerk, ignoring what local people want, and engineering inappropriate funding decisions with public money withheld. So yeah, bringing councils to account. So this is like, I suppose, bringing them personally liable for things and things like that, because nobody signs anything, do they? Nobody.
The thing is with holding councils to account, again, is maybe another guy that you want to talk to, a good friend of mine, the Reverend Dr. Warren Lee Boyd. Now he's holding councils to account he set up a PMA, right, a community association, a community care association. Now through that community care association, he's actually now holding Landudno Council to account over certain things that are growing and growing and growing. And it's actually, he's brilliant with legislation. So, he doesn't go on like the lawful remedy route. It's purely legislation, but he uses it very, very well. He's defended a lot of teachers through the policy enforcement of the last 4 or 5 years that was insanity, because he was running the union. And that's how he's held the councils to account. And he's got a video, he's done a few. One of them's on my channel as well, where we did an interview. He's brilliant. And he really knows his stuff, and he's held them councils to account through a community care association using their own legislation, because it states in there that they have a community care and they must do what is right for the community under the legislation. And you can hold them personally accountable as well by that legislation if they are not providing the correct care.
Right. Well, I've had the Reverend on the show a couple of times, actually. He's a really good chap. And people can go and find those on the video.
Brilliant.
What's his name again? Reverend Lee Boyd, did you say?
Yeah, Warren Lee Boyd.
Warren Lee Boyd, that's right. Yeah, I've had him on. It's probably due to have him on again, because he's talked about exactly that. Probably haven't had him on for about 3 months now, but really interesting way of bringing the council to account, which has been
That's
fantastic.
what we want.
Yeah.
There was also, I believe it's the people of Madison County in Wisconsin who basically sacked the council,
Oh, I love
brought
that.
brought in a locksmith and changed the locks.
Wow.
And they elected their own council, and they went from there. I don't know what the situation is now, but that's literally what they did. And I'm pretty sure
Biggleswick.
Wow, Biggleswick, yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's plenty of other councils that could do with being sacked.
Well, definitely, because they're all going bloody bankrupt, aren't they?
Well, I mean, that was the whole. I did this video. People probably remember about Biggleswick, in which I've said, people effectively, if the council aren't doing what you want, set up your own council.
Definitely.
And I love the idea of getting a locksmith in there and changing the locks.
Yeah.
And because the security people will be on your side if you say, well, we're the ones
Yes.
paying you now.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
They haven't got any
ship.
funding anymore
No.
if you could get the people to give the council
tax, which is to put in a trust.
to put in a trust, and we will do the funding.
Yeah, we'll
blah,
pay
blah,
you
blah.
direct.
You probably earn a lot more money that
I think
way.
it's coming.
Well, we are paying them, aren't we? We
Well,
are paying their salaries.
through our Seska, what's it?
Yeah, we're paying them, especially
double.
if you do the method that I've been trying.
Yeah.
So,
So I've lost the question here. Somebody said, if you don't pay your council tax, can they take your car?
well, they threaten to, don't they?
They
I suppose
threaten
they
to.
threaten, any of your assets, yeah.
They threaten to, but again, if you've got a guilty mind and you don't know, right, and that they can't do it, then they'll do it. The bailiffs they send out will do anything they can to get the money they want off you. Right, so they'll threaten you. They'll lie to you. They'll threaten you. They'll clamp your car, and even if it looks like you don't know what you're talking about, then they'll bring a lorry in to drag your car away. Right?
Yeah.
They only do that if you don't know they can't do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, and I mean, they did that when I did the Better Way conference last year in Bath, and I got this thing, and the bloke knocked at the door, and I was very ill. They didn't get the money from me, but not because I didn't actually acquiesce. It was a bit complicated. But anyway, they kept trying to get hold of me, and one time they rang me up and they left messages for me on my phone because they'd managed to get my phone number.
Yeah.
And I didn't get the messages till about 5 o'clock in the evening, and they were ringing at 10 o'clock, and they were saying, Richard, if you don't pay in the next hour, the truck is coming and we're taking your van. Well, I was out.
Yeah.
Nobody came.
Yeah, so fear-based.
And I started to think, hang on a minute, it's probably going to cost 300-400 quid to get a bloke out, which they would have to pay for. If they turn up and your car's not there, who's paying them, the tow truck?
Yeah.
They're only going to get that tow truck if they absolutely know
Your car's going
to be there. And it may take an hour, 2 hours for this tow truck, depending on where it's coming from, to get there. And I just started to think, this is nonsense. The threats that they're giving you is absolute nonsense.
Yeah, it's like gambling, isn't it?
It is.
It's good for you. I did acquiesce because I was scared that they were going to take my car, but I know that was my experience. That was my lesson. I won't do it again.
They were my brothers that came, actually.
Were they?
Yeah,
Your
I
brothers?
just sent them because I've got this lovely car now. Oh no, I didn't get it. Sorry.
Do you want a question?
Yes, please.
Okay, so now I'm online. So Dick Strocker asks, does anyone know if it's possible for a community to block 5G poles being installed in our neighbourhood? Planning permission, etc.?
No, that is. Yeah, we've got 28 poles going up
In Worthing.
In Worthing.
I saw you walk around them the other day. Black ones, aren't they?
Yeah.
New
Although
ones.
I spoke to an engineer who was wiring them up, and the encouraging thing was, because I said, "Can I, as a member of the public, command you to take this thing down?" And he said, "I wish you could. We know what's going on." I said, "Well, why the bloody hell are you wiring it up?" He says, "Don't worry." But he did, he said, "When the revolution comes, we'll be the first to take them down."
Did he?
But I said, "Well, how easy are they to nobble?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, you just got to come." But he was talking about digging up the earth, and I just thought, I'll go for the substations.
Oh, that's a good idea. Get
Just
loads
turn
at
the
once.
power off.
That's like that game where they all fall down. Dominoes, is it?
I mean, if people are having their head radiated,
Yeah.
and they're in pain, you just think, well, you have to
Sort
be
out the
careful what I
cause.
say on
Yeah, but
on
sort
this
out the
platform.
cause.
You'd sort out where the cause
That's
is coming
right.
from.
Not you don't put a plaster on a broken leg, do you? So you go to, if that makes sense. But yes, well done you again.
But that's
But
you know
that would
that's,
be the same thing though as well. Let's go back to like the community care associations. So they're the ones that can actually start filing, because if you set it up as it is a PMA, Private Members Association, right? But again, you can speak to the Reverend about it. And he set up the community care associations because they can approach, and it's all going to be towards the council. And once you find out, going through the background of the companies that are installing them, then you'll see the fraud. Then you'll see that the companies aren't real, they aren't registered correctly, they're all actually either defunct companies or fake companies under Companies House. So all of that can be done. And if you're doing it through a community care association, right, the Reverend, it's not you being some kind of conspiracy theorist. It's actually a community care association that's set up correctly. And then obviously you can approach the council with this information as a community care association. It sounds a lot better.
yeah, no, that's very true.
Yeah.
I mean, and the other thing that I keep coming back to is these are the council itself is a private limited company.
I know.
And
Yeah.
so and the clear view doctrine, has that not that's got more power than we give it? I can't remember the exact wording, but isn't that the fact that the clear view doctrine can't
Clearfield doctrine.
sorry, yeah, thanks.
Can you explain what that is? Because that's news to me.
As soon as a agency of government supposedly acts like a business, then they can be treated as a business.
Right.
Yeah, I was just
Right.
going to go and try and look it
Right.
up, but that you've exactly.
Well done. So people know
Which
what that
means
is.
that they no longer they have as little power as McDonald's or Burger
because
King
they're a corporation.
have on us. So you wouldn't see McDonald's suddenly just plonking up,
Wow.
grills on the end of
No,
poles
not
in your
yet.
town, and you'd say, "Hang on a minute, where's your authority coming
Yeah.
from?"
Yeah.
Well, we have a local action group essentially in the Eastbourne area. A couple of powerful ladies, Sarah and Serena, who they had a bit of success recently, or not recently, a little while back, against 5G towers. They basically went for the I think the acronym is NIMBY, the NIMBY approach, not in my backyard. So they were saying to people, well, they put this tower up, it's going to be ugly, and it might even affect your property prices and stuff like that. And they suddenly got a rush of people coming up against them, and the council had to back down.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant!
Very good. Very good.
Somebody here has suggested. Now, I'm going to be a bit vague about this. Lollipops in the street, these big long black lollipops in the street, let's just call them that, expanding foam in the door, in the grill, that makes them overheat, apparently.
Oh, that's a shame.
So obviously we're not recommending any
No,
of that.
I wouldn't recommend it at all. I think it's a terrible idea. Terrible idea.
Terrible idea.
Somebody.
Expanding foam is available from B&Q. And
I think you get two
Wickes,
for the
I
price
think.
of one now.
Yeah, I believe so.
Just share it with your friends and neighbours.
Yeah,
Feeling generous. Somebody, you won't read this out, and I've lost it again. But somebody said, "Why don't you set up a Patreon channel?" Patreon, is it?
Who, me?
You, yeah, because of your defunding and stuff like this.
Do you know, years ago I set up a Patreon. Thing, and it's been there. But at the time I was doing my Bald Explorer Heritage, Landscape and Nature, and you've got to constantly put new content.
Which is what you do.
Well, I do enough bloody content on the thing, and you just think every time you make content, you think, well, I want everyone to see it. What's the point of having it behind? But people do go there, and I have put a little message on my Patreon thing saying, don't expect any special content. Please don't join this if that's. I don't want to rip people off, but people just do want to support in some way. But every time you do any of this, there'll be those people who say, "Oh, another grifter with this begging bowl."
Well, they can say what they want, really.
I'm not. I would. The thing about being demonetized, and I was mentioning this to Dave just a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Is actually. It's quite good now because I'm not being paid by a corporation.
So you feel better.
So actually, I feel better, as you know.
But you still have to pay your bills.
Well, I'll settle.
Or do you? There you
I'll
go.
settle the bills.
Settle your bills, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't do that with food, though.
No,
I just settled this potato by writing on it, and now it's mine to eat.
Yeah.
If only.
Anyway, I thought I'd bring that up. So you do have a Patreon channel if anybody does want to contribute to your
I don't think
potato
I can't even
things.
remember if it's in the description to the videos or not.
Okay.
I don't, you know, I feel quite weird about people paying me.
I know, but we know you're not in it for money. You're just doing it for the right reasons, as most of us, I think, are doing it for, not to get rich and famous, as I've said before, but
my
it's a
attitude
calling
is,
for you.
especially with the spiritual journey, and we don't really touch much on this, and I'm sure Dave and even Pete will get this. I think that, you know, if you, again, it's about a mindset thing.
Absolutely.
And I think if you realise that actually the money will sort itself out.
It will. It's trust, isn't it?
It's
trust in the universe.
Yeah.
Because this is your calling.
I think if you're
you'll
staying
be
as
looked
honourable
after.
as you can.
Absolutely, for the right purpose.
Then,
with anything you put your hands to. I agree.
Would you agree that, Dave?
That's exactly what I talk about, isn't it? The fourth dimension. You know, whatever you put out in the world is going to come back to you. Yeah, this is one of the rules of this realm that we live in.
Yeah. And so I think, you know, the universe has pushed me more to try and be as helpful as I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm ready for that.
And you feel clean from it as well, because, you know, it is clean hands, honourable, doing it for the right. It's coming from the heart again. Can I read out what Mark Shepherd said?
Yeah.
So he said, I'm loving testing the system. Oh, bloody computer. I received a speeding fine. I sent it back writing Lester Pete's protocol, Lester Pete. They sent me another one a week later. I wrote on it, no contract, sent it back, and it's been quiet for 2 months. So this works. Happy stories. Thanks, Mark, for sharing that.
Yeah.
We like happy stories.
Well, the more of those sort of things that we hear so that people realise that
it works.
Because I saw somebody say in there about the settling the account. You've got nothing to lose.
No.
Because even at the end of the day, you know, even if you bottle and you go, and they're being a bit pressured, you can still pay it off.
Yeah, that's right.
With your own money.
Yeah.
But why not give it a go?
That's right. You've got nothing to lose, and enjoy it if you can. Because it is a game. Have fun with it.
It's fantastic to think that you just write on the thing and go, there we go, that's that done. Thanks very much. Very nice people to work with. And I'm always polite. I mean, I might
that's
be
the best
firm,
way. Yeah.
But I'm always polite, and I'll say, you know, I'll settle this account. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's very nice to do business with you.
Yeah.
Anytime you want to throw me some more clean water this way, I'm more than happy to give you a
you're
signature.
doing it with honesty. I love it. I love it. I really do. So.
We got any more questions?
Probably you've got. We've read them all. Okay. Let me quickly find one. Does anyone have? I've done that one. Smart meters are non-insured. No one will touch them. Is that true? Smart meters not insured. Nobody will touch them. I don't know. Here we go. So from Dick, have we read this one? What about a business account and people can do a balance transfer? Oh, we're talking about your money again. That way you keep 100% and these sites don't take a massive commission. Well, you know, we're not doing all this. Well, I mean, speak for yourself. It's not for money, is it? But
I'm not too worried. You know, at the moment, when I'm, you know, desperate, I might be there saying, please help. But let's move on a bit. Let me ask a question.
Yes.
I'd like to ask the panel, if I may.
Indeed.
Because Julia and I are involved with a community farming group, and we were there earlier today doing work with pigs and stuff. And this guy turns up from the planning office. He was a planning enforcement officer, and he was saying, "Oh, you've put up some loos. They've got these what do you call them?
Orchard cabins?
Compost loos.
Yeah,
Compost
loos. And they're just there's just a simple shed and so they put that up for privacy.
Yeah.
You know, and they collect your stuff.
Yeah.
And it goes on a manure heap and what have you. And this guy said, "Oh, you didn't get permission to put those up."
Who was he addressing? You? Or
no,
the,
he was
the
addressing
guy?
the head
owner
of,
thing.
the owner of the team of the thing. We're just
go along and have fun.
We're a bit physical, you know, get the pitchforks out and dig some holes.
Bit labour in there.
So anyway, there was a number of things, and I thought to myself, why are you interfering with anything like this? And I know that I think it was Michael Benissier who talked about the AP1 form on the land registries in which you can turn it from your local authority sticking their nose in to your own authority, or you can name somebody else's authority if you so wish. But you can say, well, I'm responsible for everything that happened here. I don't know how easy that is to do. I asked somebody else, and they mentioned the Clearfield Doctrine. They said, well, the Clearfield Doctrine says that these are just businesses, so therefore they've got no jurisdiction over you whatsoever. And I didn't know what the panel thought about, is there a way to say to the councils, effectively,
Go away.
what business is it of yours?
Yes.
Well, again, it's down to knowing how to actually stand in your square and or fight your corner, however you want to class it. But someone who was in our group, who is in exactly the same position, he's actually bought a piece of land. He's running it as his own organic farm, if you want to call it that. And he's put everything in a private trust. And, he is very private with it. He wouldn't come on and do any kind of talks or anything like that, because he's actually stopped the council when they've turned up and tried to say you need planning permission for this, that, and the next thing. And he's like, well, where's your jurisdiction? You've got no jurisdiction here. We are. And it's all on trust, and it's in a different jurisdiction. And eventually, he's like backwards and forwards for a while, but they've just left him alone. And he's built anything he's wanted. It's on there, it's on the land, and they won't go near him anymore.
Right. So you're saying then put it in a private trust, and that's it.
Sorted.
And
and you put it in in the correct jurisdiction. So as long as it's actually expressed correctly in a different jurisdiction, then they have no authority over it anyway. So they can only ever come up with what is it called? Local Planning Act or whatever it is.
Yes.
Well, it's an act.
Yes. So it's acts and statutes all over again.
So you're talking legislation. So your statutory legislation, it's not the same jurisdiction.
And that's why I was talking about jurisdiction, wanting some further explanation at the beginning of this, so people understand the difference.
Yeah.
Which we've explained.
Because I mean, this is happening to farms, especially new farms and small groups and small holdings, as you say, because we know that the government are in with the WEF and trying to sort of stop farming from growing. They don't want people to be
self-sufficient.
Subsistent.
It also strikes me that as soon as they ask you to ask for permission. Now you've given them authority to, accept or deny that permission.
Yes.
You got to step back and say, well, why as an adult do I need permission from you to do something on the land that you are just, administrator of, rather than owner of. Yeah, they're caretaking.
We don't take it with us. Yeah.
What was interesting there? This particular chap apparently doesn't drive, so he just turns up on foot. There are 2 public footpaths through this land, and he just sort of came on the public footpath. But what was very canny of one of the team members is they said, "You're not coming on the land because you have no rights. You can stay here on the public footpath, and we will have the conversation here." So he didn't but he was, looking and going, well, you haven't got planning permission.
And he stayed there.
But he did stay there.
He would do that, wouldn't he? Because he's one of those,
One of those.
It's complying with those laws and a bully, basically.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't march on the site.
No. He stood his ground.
Once they said you're not coming on.
Yeah, he had to stay. He stayed there. Else he's he's being a hypocrite.
But that is really useful information. Thanks, both of you.
Somebody here, I think I know the answer to this, but to the clogs. What if it is registered with the land registry? Then does the trust override that? Then, I think people type quite quickly sometimes.
Yeah. The land registry, you've got to think what the land registry is, though, all right? The land registry is not a governing body. It is not an authority. It is simply an agency that collects information and then sells that information to other agencies for profit. Clearfield Doctrine comes straight into it there. They sell the information for profit. They are not a governing body. Now, how do we know? By stating those facts it works? Again, because we've been using trusts inside of a court right? In bankruptcy court, when we've actually removed the assets from the actual estate, and then when the receivers are saying, well, this is the assets that we want your home to settle with the creditors. No, sorry, it's all in a private trust. And they say the same all the time. Well, it's on the land registry. And it doesn't matter. That's got nothing to do with it. It's all held in a private trust in a different jurisdiction. It's not in the estate. And we don't have to inform the land registry of anything because they're nothing. They're not a governing body. They are not an authority on anything. They're simply a collector of information that make profit from selling that information to other agencies. And we've never lost a case yet.
Well, that is very encouraging.
Happy stories again.
Absolutely. We've got a question here from Sky Frequency who says, please, I have a small bit of land recently purchased, but is there, sorry, let me say that again. But as there is a lane on it, which the council adopted because they fixed the potholes, etc., can I put this land in a private trust? Well, I imagine that you can if you've purchased it. It depends what it says on your deeds regarding the lane, I guess.
Who owns it at the moment.
But let me put that, I'm not an authority, so let me put that out to our lovely panel.
But it would be your own land, what they'd call it, your beneficial interest. So it's your beneficial interest that you would actually be assigning onto or in the trust. So your beneficial interest wouldn't include their adopted? What the hell does that mean? Their adopted path. Yes.
So, I mean, do you think that the adopted path as such would be noted in the deeds when they bought the land? I mean, if the lane is included in the land, just like here's the land, it just happens to be a thoroughfare, who owns that? And if it's in the deed as all your land, then presumably that's yours, in the way that a river
Absolutely.
is.
You could check the deeds then to see that and to see if it was there. And then, how did they adopt it? What did they get an adoption certificate from the adoption agency?
Well, exactly.
You just go and fill the holes in and you adopt the road and then make it yours. And to hell with the council.
Claim it. Because Wendy Webb says here, or asks, can land registry be done for data breach? Because, how do they know who owns the land?
Well, this goes on all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, this GD thingamajig.
This GD, I mean, when you get...
Yeah, I mean, under your, you could try doing like a subject access request under the GDPR and Data Protection Act 2018. However, you would have to try and read through every single little bit of, T's and C's to see exactly. There's probably something somewhere that you've probably inadvertently had, contracted to, where they're allowed to give other people your information. You'd have to find that out specifically before you try to do any SERs on them.
Right.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Other questions? Let's see. So Own a Plane says, can I buy a beachfront property using my Cessna V?
Yeah,
that would be nice.
And somebody sent me an email saying, can I have like a pension? Could I have a monthly amount that comes from the
trust?
And I did say it's unlikely.
I wonder if we'll ever get...
I mean, unless you're one of these people with these so-called black cards, and who knows? But
will we ever have access to it, or is it so hidden away? Is it like just a pipe dream?
It's the basis of this system that we're not meant to know that it exists. Yes, of course, there's a few of us who do now, and we're trying to, try and play with it. But the mass of the muggles out there have no idea. And
if they did know, presumably the whole system would then collapse.
Yeah, if everybody knew all the stuff that we knew, then there's no way they can play this game anymore.
Yeah, and then I mean we'd probably have a much more honourable world.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, if we're able to settle our bills in the same way that many of these elites would do it, because they're, we didn't ask them to set up the trust.
No, absolutely.
But who else could be the beneficiary if it's in our name, in our birth name, and it relates to us as men and women when we're born, where we're born at the time of birth, with a bit of blood on a thing in a
Yeah,
bit
absolutely.
of the Vatican
Owned.
holding page, whatever, you know.
It's kind of like how Trump will not show his tax filings because he doesn't file taxes.
Right.
Most of muggles out there can't even conceive that they don't have to actually pay tax.
Yes.
They'll keep the game going.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Andy Lake says, regarding this Sescavie, how do you actually say it? Is it Sescavie or something? Sescavie?
Yeah, it's French, so it's
Oui.
Cavie.
Cavie, Sescavie.
Cavie.
C'est tout que with the French accent. Huh? So this guy says, regarding the and council tax, can I get my bank to refund my direct debit from the council tax? Can I then use the method afterwards to hang on to my money?
Can you read that again?
I don't know what
Yes,
you mean.
of course.
Yeah,
I say,
read that again.
regarding the Sescavie
Yeah.
and council tax, can I get my bank to refund my direct debit for the council tax? Yeah. And then can I use the Sescavie method afterwards to hang on to my money?
Oh, I see. I understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
He's saying he's going to use the bank by saying actually the direct debit was all false.
Yeah, like what you were doing at the beginning.
And there's a chap who was recommending doing that with his council tax. But the debt was still there. The council said, okay, but you haven't paid the debt.
Yeah.
So then they're saying, well, okay, that's fine. Send me the bill and I'll settle the account. Can I do that? And I suppose in principle. But
we don't know the Sescavie thing exists, do we?
Well, no.
Theoretically.
I mean, it works for the water board in my case.
Well, yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I can't give you confirmation that the council will accept it, even though it's, according to the Bill of Exchange, it's a financial instrument and legal tender and everything, Lord Denning and whatever. Mm-hmm. And I might be mixing metaphors here, but
mixing metaphors, Richard. It's worth a go, though, isn't it? Because unless people don't try these things, how do we know? So try it. Like you were saying earlier, we've got to experiment.
So if he goes back. And he says, I cancel my direct debt, and he gets, say, 30 grand, let's say, of council tax. Then the council say, well, you still owe us that 30 grand. And he says, that's fine, send me the bill.
And then you do that.
And then you go, yeah, I'll accept this bill as money, method. Blah, blah, blah. It's not my method.
No, yes, what you did.
That. Yeah. And maybe that would work.
It's worth a go. Please try it, whoever wrote this
But if it doesn't work, keep that 30 grand or whatever you've been paid. Just in case they come back to you. That's it. Don't go and spend it on a holiday or a beach hut. That's the thing. You've got to keep this money separate in case they come knocking. Because if they do come knocking and you're not then prepared to stand up in court, or they get the jurisdiction, or they slam you in prison, or whatever it is. I mean, I'm assuming that would be the best way.
It's common. It's sensible. Yes.
Shouldn't be.
I know. Sorry, we're having a chat here. What do they have to say?
Well, personally, I feel a bit uncomfortable about that because it's it's acknowledging that the money doesn't actually exist, but then saying, I want the money. I want to keep hold of it. I want this money. I want to keep hold of it so I can.
Yes.
Yeah. It just makes me a bit uncomfortable when people want to. It's like hypocritical, essentially.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I suppose when you know something, do it from that moment onwards. Because the past is the past, isn't it? You played the game. You thought that you should pay the council tax in all those times, and you paid it. But now, with that little bit of knowledge, it's like, it is in a way like, because it's your fault that you didn't know in the past in one way. So just do it from now. When the next bill comes in,
sheet.
Do it from now. Yeah. And not try and be, because there's a sense of greed in there.
That's right. Is that
I think that's what Dave's getting at.
Which is the kind of root of all evil. That's what's got us in the mess already, isn't it? Greed, power, ego, fame, riches, and that's what we're trying to move away from.
Especially, and Dave's absolutely right, because you're saying the money doesn't exist.
Yes.
So if the money doesn't exist, what do you need a pile of not money for?
Exactly. Monopoly again. Yeah. Because money doesn't exist. It's quite funny.
I think we've got that Dave.
So here we go.
Yeah.
Pammy, A Better World. She asks, how can we refuse filling in an electoral registration roll form from the council? Recently moved. If not filled in, possible fine of £80.
Load of crap. I've never ever been on an electoral roll. It's like I've had loads and loads of things. I've had people knocking on my door. Even
Yeah.
at Sunday, cheeky little people.
The neighbours, the local neighbours
it's
do
like,
it.
Get away. It's like, at any time now, we just say, well, it's not my property. It's all, you have to send it to the trust head office. Go away. But yeah, it's never ever on there. And, nothing's ever happened. Because at the end of the day, we're actually... The only thing you could ever write on there would be a legal fiction straw man name if you want, whatever it is. But it's not you anyway, is it? So
no.
What's it got to do with you? But
yeah,
so
and
I'm just gonna have to say goodbye now anyway.
Oh, okay.
You've got to go on your other
meeting.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But thank you so much, Peter.
Thank you, Pete. Yeah.
No worries. All right.
Speak
Enjoy
soon.
the rest
All the
of
best.
the show. Take care.
Yes.
See
Thank
you.
you.
See
Thanks.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Ah, brilliant.
To answer that question, now it's gone out of my head. What were we talking about?
Electoral roll.
Yes.
Oh, right,
£80 fine.
It's just a toothless tiger at the end of the day, really. It's like TV license. There is nothing that says that you have to pay TV licenses and stuff. Yeah, and at the end of the day, the law is about you doing something, or preventing you from doing something. Right? They can't force you to do something.
Right.
The law isn't about forcing you to do something. Yeah, punishing you if you don't do something. That's not the spirit of the law.
No, exactly. And isn't it? I mean, I think you read that out. It does. They always say this mealy mouth. We may prosecute, or we might do this, or we.
Yeah,
might.
that's right. It's a threat, isn't it?
It's not an
action.
It's kind of like, actually, well, then you may not.
Yeah.
And the chances are you won't.
And it puts us in fear, doesn't it? Like this lady that said it, she said, "Oh, I'm going to have to pay an £80 fine." But are you? Don't pay it. Don't be in fear. This is the thing. Fear is what are we frightened of, really?
And what are they going to do? They're going to come in and force your hand to
Yeah.
scribble on a bit of paper.
Yeah, just can't come out of the fear.
It's like
Whoa.
somebody pushing you down and having a needle full of something.
That's yeah.
I saw the fear from the other side, actually, because several years ago, I was sharing a house for somebody, and the council came round and bullied this person into giving my name as the other person who lived there. So they put my name on the register, and so I went down to the council to say, that's fraud. Somebody committed fraud by taking my name without my consent. I want that person who's responsible down here so I can talk to them. And they wouldn't. They hid upstairs and they wouldn't come and engage. That's the fear.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's not nice fear. I mean, we can say it quite easy, or don't be frightened, because fear is horrible because of the world in which we've been living in. And we're frightened of authority. We go to the doctors who wear the white coats and they tell us something, we believe it. And it's changing a whole new mindset, isn't it? But it's really
doctored.
We get doctored. We get bullied and, jurisdiction.
Who's the authority in all of this? We are the authority in all of it. Yeah, doctors aren't the authority over our bodies. Yeah, we give our authority to I hate saying it, the king and the police. Yeah,
that bloke,
saucy fingers. Yeah, we give our authority for him to do what he does. We give our authority for the government to do what they do. We give our authority for the police to do what they do.
Yeah,
it's all our authority, not anybody else's.
Yeah. Cool. Just writing notes here. Did you want to say something, Richard? Being your show? No.
No, I was just trying to sort of catch up with some of the. Julia's disappeared at the moment, so just trying to catch up.
But there's some lovely comments as well, aren't there?
Yeah.
The English law is our birthright. It's all a mindset. Anti-stupid, not vax. Victor says, I've not paid for almost 10 years. False, FEAR, false evidence appearing real. There's a lot of people here that are really on the right page, which is great, and hopefully they're very active. And then somebody has gone up, it's whizzed up now, but somebody says, can we get Pete Stone on? That's Sovereign Pete, isn't it? I just wanted to check. Yes,
Yeah,
he's
we had
coming.
it.
He's coming on
Is he coming?
Friday.
Oh, is
yeah,
he?
a lot of these guys do a course on the Thursday, so hence we're a bit down on numbers today. And we did have a new chap from Australia, but the time difference didn't work, but he wants to come on board. So though next week is going to be Friday, that's okay with you. I think we had agreed.
Yeah, it's in the diary.
And we've got, who have we got? We've got Tony Rose, and we've got Sovereign Pete Stone, and I can't remember who else, but those, and people, if they put it in the comments who they want us to have on the show, we will do our best, won't we, to get them on.
So let me ask you a question. Let me ask Dave actually a question and put this out to the wider public and see what they think. We recently saw the MPs who supposedly were elected at this opinion poll that took place during the land, with quite a few people really voting for these particular individuals. Anyway, they've all given their so-called oath to the Crown Corporation, and I understand, I didn't see it because I don't have a television, I wasn't that interested, but apparently they did use the words, we give my oath to the Crown Corporation, which is a little bit odd, because you're giving it to a company. Now, can you give an oath, which is a thing that a man and woman does, to a dead entity, and as somebody told me, it says, no, that's just an affirmation. They're affirming that they will abide by the policies of this Crown Corporation. So therefore, if these MPs sit and pretend to be our MPs and do our so-called business, they're not doing it because they haven't taken an oath to the people.
Yeah.
Is that treason?
Oh.
It is treason, and it's
Wow.
we've been in treason for since 1972. There's a document out there. Can't remember it.
Was that with Edward? Was Mr. Heath? Was it Mr. Heath?
Mr. Heath, yes. By
Yes.
by actually giving our sovereignty away to the EU, that was treason.
Yeah.
So everything after that, performed by government has been treasonous and therefore null and void. But again, it requires the people to understand this and stand up against it.
Yes. And it's just a pantomime, really, in the meantime, that people are agreeing.
Exactly.
We're in charge. Yes, you are. We're in charge. Yes, you are. No, you're not.
Oh, no, you're not. Oh, no, you're not.
Oh, no,
it's behind you. I think also it's a shame we didn't do a show before the 4th of July, wasn't it? American Independence Day. I mean, that's something weird that they chose to have that opinion poll election. But a lot of people didn't vote. I didn't vote. And being a woman, some people chastise me because of the suffragettes, and and all that kind of hoo-ha. I haven't voted for a long time.
Did you chain yourself to some railings?
No, I didn't actually, but I bought a new rail. No, I didn't. And I think it is a difficult thing, especially for a woman, because you think women have fought for this and therefore it is our right and we should do it. But people have also told me, well, that's all a bit of a fix as well. That's part of some of these power games, the same as to break up the family, to get women to work because then there's more tax and it breaks up the family and all this sort of stuff. A little bit of digression there, but I think it is important to know why some people don't want to vote, and I think I didn't vote because that means I'm playing their game, and I don't want to play their game. I said they can go and like the football. I'm not interested. I still don't even know who won. I knew it's going on because you could hear in the pub all the noise. But I think we have to really pull ourselves out of the system and be active, as in not partaking and putting the cross. Was it the pauper or the peasant or something when we can't write? So we mark the ballot paper.
It's that thing. There's a name, and I must try and remember it. And I can't remember where I read it once before, and it may have been in John Hamer's book, The Falsification of History, where you're set up with two options.
Yeah.
That you vote or you don't vote, or isn't there a third way?
Yeah.
And the third way might be have a different system.
Absolutely.
But no one talks about having
an alternative.
You've got this sort of, well, you're either going to vote for these two parties or any of the independents, blah, blah, blah. And then there's all question whether actually is anything more than just an opinion poll anyway. But it's like you've got the choice. You either take part or you don't take part, or you decide to have a third option or fourth or fifth option. And the third option, in my point of view, would be Well, have a different way of being governed.
Yeah,
we need
govern
different
ourselves.
governance, not government.
Absolutely, like we were talking at the beginning with our own courts, where the people
Exactly.
speak out. Yeah,
And we've got plenty of experience of things that were working in the past, like trial by jury and our own courts and the people power and grassroots up. Local is better for people who live locally, surely.
Absolutely,
rather than people who, I just done a video with some guys living in Lincolnshire. They've got 27,000 acres of prime agricultural farmland being turned into solar panels. 27,000 acres. And and the people, the venture capitalists who are doing this, they don't live in the area.
No, of course they don't.
They probably don't even live in the country.
No.
And so, this is where it's got to be. People in the area will say, actually, we're the authority because we live here.
Exactly.
So,
Dave.
I don't know if this is accurate, but as I understood it, only 32 or 37% of people actually voted.
Right.
And so out of that 37%, a smaller percentage voted for Starmer and all that. Yeah. So how does that represent, the thoughts and will of the people? So as you sort of mentioned, there was a choice on the ballot that's always missing, and that's none of the above.
Yes.
And that none of the above is basically saying I do not have any faith or confidence in any of these candidates. All right. So I don't want any of this. So, and that should be a valid choice.
Yeah.
But the only alternative is what they call spoiling your ballot, so they can just wave that away. Yeah, spoiling your ballot is saying I do not consent to any of this, and that should be considered.
And somebody was telling me the other day, he said, well, let's say you wanted to go back and recount all the ballot papers. What do they do with them? Are they all stored somewhere so that you can test, a year down the line and go, actually, I'd like to just verify that that was the correct number?
Yeah.
Apparently, they burn them.
And, really?
And they burn them quickly, so there's no evidence.
Of course not. Well, it's a bit, you think about the election, the previous one in America with Dominion, wasn't it? The Dominion where it was all so corrupt. I mean, I couldn't trust anything. I really wouldn't trust how, because it was all fixed, wasn't it? The baton was just handed to the non-elected prime minister anyway. He wasn't even elected.
You had the programmer of the system, actually testify that yes, it can be rigged. It can be falsified.
Yeah, of course it can.
Yes. Yeah, there we go.
And who's the female? Is it Liz Truss? Was she sitting on the high chair for a while? Because I'm sure I saw a video of her recently saying that when she came into power, she was going to change the world and make it a better place, and she realised she couldn't because the power was run by the banks. She's actually said it, ex-prime minister. Watch your back, basically, Liz. But people that have sat on that hot seat are actually saying it. So maybe she wasn't such a bad person, or I don't know. But the truth is coming out.
There's a book. I forget her name now. Doreen something or other, who was in government, called The Plot.
Okay.
And she spilt the beans. Someone was telling me about it. I've just ordered the book. It's about $8.99
on the Jungle
big,
shop.
Yeah, whatever. But I wanted to read that because it talks about the Johnson period and how and who is actually running it. Now, and I said, the guy who told me was about halfway through it, and I said, do you think it's an accurate account of it, or is it more spin for us? And he said, well, if it's spin, it doesn't make any of them in the government look good. So it might be interesting. I forget her name. Somebody will come up with it.
Yeah, sure. Somebody will say it.
Anyway, she's somebody will come up with it.
But also on those little bits of paper. Sorry, Dave. Just going to say that you have. Is it a pencil? You have to write with a pencil. Somebody said here, and I think they're all numbered, aren't they? So they know who you voted for anyway. They know it's not like a random blank piece of paper.
No,
apparently.
but if you had to put your own signature on the thing and say, why is it a secret ballot? Why cannot people be upstanding and say, I voted for that. So that you can look at your town
exactly
and go, actually, 20% voted for this lot and 30, and we know, okay, so we know who they're.
That's
but
right.
a secret ballot, which sounds like,
Bit
nobody
dodgy.
knows.
Yeah.
It's like, well, actually,
You can
that just
lie.
means nobody can verify
right.
that it's happened.
That's right. We know.
Because they may have a few of these things from last year. A big pack
Absolutely.
of them going,
Yeah.
oh yeah, we've got tons for Labour here. We'll just add those in
Yeah.
and take those out.
Yeah, do what they want and make it look lawful,
Because
legal.
who was it who had the ones that came from dead people? All the lists of graveyards. You know, it's like these dead people came back to vote.
I mean, it is. You've got to laugh, haven't you? You've
But
got to
then-
laugh at the whole lot.
Isn't that really what's happening? It's still dead people
Well,
who
yes,
are voting because
we
it's
are.
the all caps people.
Yes,
are
the all
still
caps.
doing the, aren't they?
Yeah,
Is-
but it's just we're standing up and not lying down, 6 feet under. Oh, how
Dave,
funny!
I think Dave wanted to say something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that it's not the parties or the characters that are being voted in. It's the entire parliamentary system that's the problem.
Yes.
Right? And as long as that system's in place, things will never change because the whole place has been run by directors that we don't see, and they just put puppets in to execute the orders of these directors. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. No, and you put that so eloquently.
You do.
That's exactly.
Yes,
That's exactly.
He does
what's
speak very
going on.
well.
A question here: do
Yeah.
you guys have any book recommendations for sovereignty?
Ooh,
Which is a great question because I'm a lovely.
you are a lovely.
No, I mean I
Richard
love,
the Lovely.
Stop it. I love reading, and I love reading hard. What do you call it when it's not online? Hard copy.
Yeah,
Hard copy.
tangible books,
Yeah,
proper books,
rather than
good
screen.
old-fashioned books.
Dave, you probably must have a stack at a library 20 foot tall.
Well, the best one to get into understanding all this is "Freedom is More Than Just a Seven-Letter Word" by Veronica Chapman.
Yeah,
that's
I've got that.
That's the best start to get into this.
Veronica sent that to me very early on, actually.
Did she?
And she's still in communication with
Yeah.
me every now and again. She'll
And I'm sure it's
wise
spiritually stuff. Is it?
not so much that. It's just like
No?
it's very honest, very to the knuckle, really.
Brilliant.
And some of the stories she tells me it's she doesn't pull her punches, does she, Dave?
No, not at all. And it's very easy to read
Yes.
and very easy to understand. So yeah, that's the best book to get you started. In
I
my
think
opinion.
easy to read is good because there is so much and there's so many courses there. But I think for the beginners,
Yeah, Veronica
yeah.
Chapman. Or I think she prefers Veronica of the family of Chapman. But it's
Yeah.
it's
you'd
worth.
have to
I
search
might like
Veronica
to read that
Chapman.
as well, just to
Fear
make
is
it
a
simple.
7-letter word. Is that right? 4-letter? What did you say it was?
Freedom is
It
more
is
than a
freedom.
seven-letter word.
freedom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Freedom.
Yeah, very good.
Can I go back to this thing about voting? And because I had discussions with friends, well, family basically, they went in to say they're going to say, oh, we don't consent. And I said, well, I'm not going to go at all because when you're saying I don't consent, you're still playing.
Well, you're
their
still
game.
consenting to the
To-
idea
yeah,
of a
yeah,
poll. aren't
yeah,
you?
yeah. So even if you rip the paper up and everything, so is it not better just not to not turn up and get on and build our own?
I love the guy
Well-
who got in touch and said, I will go in. And he said, why don't more people do this? Go in, take the piece of paper, and then walk out with the bit of paper.
That would be good.
So that then they're short.
Short. That would be good.
By a
Yes.
considerable amount.
Yeah.
But it's too late now.
Yeah. Well, we knew, and no matter what we put, they know what they're planning, don't they? It was all part of them.
And then there was all the digital ID business, and you had to bring in a picture of.
Did
this,
you?
Well, apparently I didn't
Oh.
go. I didn't vote.
No, likewise. No.
So I wasn't going to go in.
Would have made a blind bit of difference, would it? Really?
No.
You know, we yeah.
And that's the
crazy.
other thing, when they say well, we need to identify, you go, well,
Yeah.
this is it.
Here I am, yeah.
Surely, I'm in my own town. There'll be somebody who can verify
Yeah.
me. I don't need a bit of paper and some computer or something.
And a little box.
Yeah, look, poke me. I'm
Yeah.
human. How much
Yeah.
more
Woo.
verification do you need?
And also the way of voting what is it? Proportional representation or something?
Yeah.
So should it not, if it was genuine, should not one person's vote count? Not like 10 people in that county or something like that. So
You should count the people.
yeah, count the people rather than the county. So there might
Dave.
left
I
you with a
lost
load
it
of
then.
mess there.
Yeah, sorry, you just.
What was I saying?
interrupted
Yeah,
my
sorry.
thought
Yeah, no.
pattern.
I was saying about oh gosh.
Are we talking about voting or freedoms more than a
we were talking
seven-letter
about
word?
the voting, and then Dave was just about to say something when I came up with the walking out with a bit of paper. Was it that bit? Or no, it's gone.
Yeah,
we were
it's gone.
we
Sorry.
were talking about Veronica.
I'm watching. Oops, I'm watching Dave's face offline. He's going, no, it's gone.
And somebody has just answered the question that you can also access Black's Law Dictionary on the archive internet. I think maybe that's for Thomas's question, who wants to learn more. And good luck, Thomas. I know your
good
name
luck with
pops up.
that.
Yeah. I meant it nicely,
Yeah.
as you did. But it's a heavy read, isn't it? A bit like the Bible, I guess.
But it is. I mean, it's useful to know some of those legalese terms. And
Yeah.
I went out extravagantly and bought the edition 11, which is the latest. And actually, that one has so little compared to some of the early
older
ones.
ones.
You know, because if you look up human in the older ones, it says you're a monster.
Oh.
And that's how they treat you, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas in
The oldest are better actually
Yeah.
because they were actually using them. Now that they know that we know about it,
Yeah.
then the later ones
Yeah.
are just rubbish.
Yeah.
Never burn the books night. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Did you have a question? Anybody have a question? Well, we've got 10 minutes.
Mr. Mensa, oh no, wait a minute. Universal
okay.
Truth, the Sovereignty Project are having a conference in August.
Oh,
Hello
that's
from
good.
Brisbane.
Oh,
Hello.
Brisbane? From Brisbane.
Call that a knife? That's not a knife. If you would...
Oh, you did a bit of crocodile there.
Not me.
A bit of down under. It's like all dictionaries. I thought using a pencil to mark X was not counted as a vote. I think
And
that's what I
the
give
question there is, like, X, is that because we can't sign our names?
That's right, I believe
Is that the
so.
pauper thing
Yeah.
again?
Yeah, sign it here.
So you're jumping through the hoops
Yeah.
of it. We're coming up sort of towards the end of the show anyway, and we can... It senses that we've got 306
Just whilst we might wait for another question, I just wanted to say for people that might have been coming to Hull, it's not on because we didn't get. I think I don't know if you mentioned on one of your shows.
When was it happening?
This weekend.
Oh, right,
it was going to be this Sunday, so we didn't get. We have now had people saying, "Oh, I'd like to buy some tickets," but it's too late because we've pulled it. So I think that's why it's really important to get the tickets in advance so that we know how many are coming and then we can get it done. But we are having this event in Perth, Scotland, and there's a lot of interest. And there'll probably be 6 or 7 of us up there. So if you want to come to Scotland, we're just confirming the venue. We've got somebody working on the case and really supportive. So we've already sold 40 tickets. But if we need to get to Scotland because I think actually, Dave, did you do a course? Have you been up there? Is that part of your tour recently? Did you get that far?
I'm not sure Perth. No.
But you were up there a little bit, weren't you? Bonnie,
Right
Scotland.
up there, yes.
Okay, to New Jimmy. Good. Because these places are so far away, we don't always get to reach them, do we? And I think we need to because they're very active and that's good. So I just wanted to say that. Hull is off. Perth is on 22nd of September.
There you go. Have you got anything you'd like to promote, Dave, whilst we're winding up the show?
I haven't really. I am doing another talk down in Bournemouth on I believe it's the 30th. It's my fourth dimension talk. So
brilliant!
Excellent.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm winding down my tour now.
And if you want to see a little bit a snippet of Into the Fourth Dimension, I did interview Dave. It's on the channel. You can find it. Whet your appetite. I'm sure the talk.
Whet. With a H.
Yeah, sorry.
Whet. Oh, you did it well. Whet.
Whet your appetite. And have you got any Freedom Network stuff going on? Hope Sussex or anything?
We have got something. We've got the comedy night actually in Hope Sussex. You're going to be comparing that. That's on the 3rd of August at Hope Sussex. Then we have our Uprise and Shine conference the 6th and 7th or the 7th and 8th of September. 2-day event, so that's going to be well attended. So yeah, we need to be. I think people are in their holiday mood at the moment, aren't they? Kids are just breaking up and what have you. But that's lined up for September, so you can contact me for tickets or contact Hope for tickets there. So that's going ahead. I'm
appearing on Saturday at Dunford House in Kent. I don't actually know where it is. I've asked them to send me the address, but all I know is Dunford House. I've got a postcode, but I don't know where it's near. I think it's near Midhurst. At 7 o'clock at Dunford House.
Midhurst isn't in Kent, is it?
Did I say Kent?
Yes.
Yes, I Kent.
You don't know where you're going. Thank God for Julia. Thank God. You can't
imagine
remember.
why.
You can't
I
remember.
can't imagine why I said that. It's in Hampshire.
Okay.
It's
sort of
in
Sussex. It is
Yes,
like
it's
north,
on the border,
West
isn't it?
Sussex. Yes, yeah.
So it may be in West Sussex or in
Somewhere.
Kent, or not in Kent. Anyway, Dumford House, near Midhurst. I'm there with a chap called Dear Danny, who's a health chap, on Saturday. And then if you were in Suffolk, I should be up in Suffolk on Monday with Mark Byford, the bowler-hatted farmer.
Oh,
We're talking
good.
about farming and what we can do about that. And that's in Needham Market at the Limes Hotel at around about 6:30, 7, something like that. And I don't know where you can get tickets on the door or whatever. But you're very welcome.
Busy boy again, aren't you?
Yeah. And I will be in Scotland in September
Barbara.
interviewing Barbara O'Neill.
Fantastic.
I'm emceeing an event up there. I don't know where it's taking place. I have asked, but
Right.
I never
You'll get there.
answer.
You'll get there somehow. Just trust
Somewhere
in the
I'll
gods.
just wear a kilt and turn up.
Speak funny.
So is this the first show that's for a one-legged Dutchman?
A one-legged what?
A one-legged Dutchman, a single clog.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I see. Oh, bless you. Oh, because you're just on your own now. Is this like for you, Dave?
Yes.
Yes.
The
it
single
is.
clever clog.
Yes, the single clever clog. One-legged Dutchman.
I thought you were going to wear a kilt and start dancing or something. I've lost it. Yes, it did go a little bit pear-shaped today because we were supposed to have some more people on board. But I think we're just getting back into the rhythm of things. And because I'm just in the process of moving house, I should say. I'm just in limbo at the moment. I moved out from my house. I'm moving into another house. So everything's all over the place. And I'm not as organised as usual. But we are back next week on Friday. As I said, we've got 2 lined up so far. I don't know, allegedly, Dave, if you're around on Friday. We love having you on board. So yeah, whatever. Beatstone and yeah. So and I'll see. And we're trying to get I want to say Banana Man, but it's not Banana Man.
Banana Man.
We're trying to get Banana Man on. You need to have him on your show and have a chit chat.
Yeah, and somebody was going to organise that, but again, they haven't. So I'll try and reach out to him.
Yeah, a bit of a push. People are busy, aren't we? We get too many emails and
it is
stuff.
that it is their summer season now.
Yeah.
We'll put our red noses, our Poirot out. Poirot?
Poirot.
What is it?
Poirot.
Not the Poirot outfits. That's the little moustache, isn't it?
Yes.
Little grey cells.
Why red nose? That's Rudolph. That's Christmas.
End of the pier, summer season.
Oh.
We'll be juggling and unicycling, fire eating, and all that kind of.
You could be doing that. You used to do it. I think you should do that in the background.
Dave's got an electric unicycle, and
he has,
and I've seen it.
Yes, have you been on it?
No, but I dearly would like to. And I used to ride a unicycle.
Did you?
I was telling Dave that I once went up the hill to Stirling Castle on it.
And you, Jimmy, did you?
And that's very steep, I can tell you.
Wow, well done you.
That was
You've set the challenge now.
And at some point in the future, I'll be teaching Richard how to do the electric unicycle.
So we'll have to
Just
film
Richard.
that.
Oh, I think so. I think you should do a workshop and get all the clever clogs together. Oh, that would be fun, wouldn't it?
Yes.
In their what was it last week? We had Chris in his not pajamas, in his dressing gown.
Yes.
Dressing gown, slippers on a unicycle.
But I think the unicycle itself is so good because it's so never mind these scooters. We spoke, didn't we, about the rapid response team? Imagine if they all turned up on these electric unicycles.
I see
amazing.
Benny Hill music in the background there.
Well, no, you've got to have it serious.
No, it would be serious. It would be great, wouldn't it? I would fall off one, I think. You'd have to get your balance, but they look good and they are very whizzy, yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're coming to the end of the show now because we're just talking. The question, is Dave coming anywhere near Telford, somebody asks.
Nobody's ever asked me to come anywhere near Telford, so...
Gather a crowd
and Dave will be there.
Get him up there. That would be good.
And may I ask something? Have we got 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Dave, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Are you still practicing your health remedies?
Absolutely. I haven't stopped.
You are. Somebody asked.
13 years or so.
Yeah.
He looks very healthy.
You do look very healthy. You do. Just a minute of what it is, what you do. Just a minute, because somebody asked.
Okay. It's it's pretty well known. I do urine therapy, amongst other things. Urine therapy, distilled water, and pretty much, and changing the way you think about how about yourself, because most disease starts up here.
Yeah.
I think that is so important,
Yeah.
and you know, for many of those who are sort of starting a spiritual journey or
Yeah.
beginning to sort of just turn things upside down, and that whole thing about everybody else is doing things for you and taking back the responsibility,
Yeah.
and that internal monologue that goes on in our head where we're constantly saying, oh, I can't do this, or how can I pay this bill,
Yeah.
and all of these things, and we bring to ourselves so much. I mean, I really believe that now. I mean, I
Yeah,
read these books when
totally.
I was 18.
Yeah.
And then life sort of
Gets in the
bashes
way.
you and
Kids
you,
and all
you know,
that,
and
yeah.
you get hypnotized by everything. But
The
now,
system.
having spoken to all these amazing people, including Dave and yourself and many of these others who've done these things, you just suddenly realize, my God, at 60, I've been doing it all wrong. And now I'm very much in the mornings.
Yeah.
I wake up and I'm telling myself affirmations and I won't let negative thoughts come
No,
in.
power of positive thinking. And I think, okay, when I asked that, I wanted you to say that because somebody asked whether they were being sarcastic or they were genuinely interested. I think it's really important for you to have that opportunity to say why you do it, how it's helped you. And as Richard is saying, we have to take responsibility for ourselves. When we say, oh, I don't want to pay the council tax, you can't just not pay it. It's a holistic thing.
Yeah.
It's our health, it's our mind, it's mind, body, spirit, the whole lot of this. And it's a really good place to be when you get it, I think.
Your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. So whatever's going on inside is actually going to be reflected out here. So and the universe, the fourth dimension, whatever you want to call it, doesn't speak English. Yeah, it doesn't speak German or French or anything. It understands intention and emotion. So you know, the emotions and the feelings you have when you say things like, oh, how am I going to pay this council tax bill? You're thinking about you're focusing on lack.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's what you'll be pulling into yourself, more lack.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the vibration, isn't it, basically?
Yeah.
You're on that wavelength. You need to raise that vibration.
That's a lovely show in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't talk in those terms because that
New age
sort of
flippy floppy.
New age stuff is it's hard to really conceptualize. What it is you know, it's what you're asking for, but you don't ask with words. You ask with your feelings and emotions.
Yeah, action.
Right?
Brilliant.
We'll have to finish there. Dorian Gray says, you're not ill, you're thirsty, which is the name of a book. I've got that book. It is a brilliant book about, you know, we don't drink enough water, especially old people.
Yeah.
Old people don't drink enough water,
Hydrate,
and that's why
yeah.
they dehydrate, especially in this hot weather.
But it's a bit scary drinking water from the tap now as well, isn't it? Because of all the goo that's in it. So you want to drink the right water. That's the other thing.
Well, you've got to drink your urine, obviously.
That is the right
that's
water.
what Dave
right.
suggests.
Also, I said distilled water as well.
Distilled water,
Yeah,
yes, you
distilled,
did. I think you're taking the,
Anyway, so, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the show. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always been fantastic doing these live shows. I like that because of the spontaneity of everything. So much better than a pre-recorded thing, although we're all slightly on our guard a little bit. But thank you so much. So next show will be Friday, which is the 20-something of July still, hopefully. This year, so do join us then. And if the channel is still here, it will be back on this channel. If it's not, I'll put it on the Roadshow channel, which is my sort of go-to. Thank you so much to our panel, to Peter Wilson, who had to disappear early, and of course to the lovely and honourable Dave, allegedly Dave, there he is.
Allegedly Dave.
Getting more mysterious now as the light is fading wherever you are, Dave.
So in a travel lodge.
In a travel lodge, travelling around the country on his electric unicycle, which is brilliant. Big thanks to the lovely Julia, who's coming in to give us away.
Yeah, and bringing the tea. Cheers for the tea, Julia.
There she is. Who's been moderating.
Yeah.
And Karen for setting it all up.
Pleasure.
And making it all possible. And we hope that you'll join us again on the next time. But in the meantime, thank you so much for washing. Thanks for washing. And do tell your friends.
Washing and doodling.
And get... And yeah, thank you all. Anyway, we better go.
What was in that tea, Julia?
I don't know. It's very nice.
Not enough.
Not enough, clearly. Until next time, from us all, big
Goodbye.
thanks to everybody. Take care and all
Be
of that.
safe.
Bye for now.